Hi, listeners, welcome to my podcast channel. I'm Elizabeth, and I will be shedding some light on my first episode of the Quest for Survival. The cost of living in certain places in Lagos is high, and many people had resort to living in the ghettos and few places they think they fit in and can only survive in there. Before I dive more deeper, I would like to establish an understanding of Quest in this context. Quest in this episode is the effort in pursuit of survival. In other words, it's a struggle for survival. Having understood that, I will kindly ask a question. Why do we go in pursuit of survival? I wasn't actually expecting an audible answer, as that was a rhetorical question. In a country as Nigeria, without going out of belief, survival is a major issue, well or partially dealt with. I still find it hard to believe if this, by chance, anyone who is lackadaisical about his or her survival. We are in such a pitiful era that few people still consider suicide as a best solution to their wanting situation. In most cases, we have teens, youth, and sometimes families as a whole going through thin and dark for survival, or should I call it a tussle? In this part of the country, where employment is a major issue, many had made up their mind to do anything to keep the body, soul, and mind moving, all in the quest for survival. Why few resort to learning a trade in order to be a boss of their own and earn money for living? We still have some who will sit and quiver all enclosed in the safety of the danger in the quest for survival. But little did they know that it only takes an action and not their imagination to come to the realization of what they want for themselves. They must come to the full knowledge of what it takes to make it to the peak. Well, 2 years ago, I went to the profile of a young man who was a graduate of a prestigious university in Nigeria but couldn't get a good job from his discipline. He didn't give up and went ahead to open a bookshop to help enlarge his press. Luckily for him, he made it, and I'm proud to announce that he is now a graduate of Harvard University and to be employed by a big firm for his journey so far. If we should review his success story, he made it because he didn't give up in the quest for survival. I'd like to share a little excerpt from my story. Being the first child wasn't so easy, and I grew to a level that challenged me to stand up in pursuit of survival. Why am I even saying this? I'm not saying this because I've made it so big, but most times it is not always our capability. It is the ability to take full responsibility of our duty. We don't need to be petted with a silver spoon, nor do we need a big space to explore. All we need is maximizing our potentials in our little space and making ourselves known. Well, we owe nobody any explanation as to our sources of failure. But we also need to come to this understanding, to this knowledge that we owe ourselves an explanation as to why we couldn't stand tall. Yes, we hear this come here, we see our friends, we listen to people's success story via media of how they made it, but many of us just don't want to go through the process. We just want to hear the stories and just like normal fairy tale, I wish, and then these things are just coming to us like we planned it, like we wished they were. We are scared of going through the process because this life is all about the process. We can't just skip a step and then we see ourselves moving the way we're supposed to move. It is a process, and in this process there is no there's no space, there's no this permission to skip a process, and then you find yourself succeeding in the next step. Thanks for listening. I'll wait more episode.